What is up, Michael?
What is up, Kelvin?
Not a whole lot, bud. Welcome back.
Same to you as well. Long time.
That's right. It's been a little while, but Casual Talk is back. Two casuals back talking about MMA. And we've got a card this weekend.
UFC 247, headlined by Jon Jones, Dominic Reyes.
Yep.
And then the co-main, we got Valentina Shevchenko and
Caitlin Chukagian.
Chukagian. I knew I was going to say her last name wrong, but it looks like a pretty good card. So did you want to go from prelims working your way up or start from the top and then work your way down?
Let's just start from the top.
All right.
Go down. So let's start with the main event.
Jon Jones, Dominic Reyes.
That's right.
Give me your thoughts about this fight.
Yeah, so, man, anytime Jon Jones fights, it's tough, right? Because you sit here and you think to yourself how you almost try to, like, make a case, for both fighters. But when you're dealing with a guy that's as dominant as Jon Jones, it makes it tough, yeah.
Yeah, to me, he's the greatest of all time. The resume speaks for itself.
Right.
And he's been doing this for almost a decade.
Yeah. Guy is
incredible. So, no, Dominic Reyes, he's a local IE guy. He's from Victorville.
Yep.
So, it's going to be interesting to see how Dominic Reyes approaches this fight. I'm going to expect him to come out fast.
Yep.
He's very confident from all the interviews that I heard from him.
Yep.
Talking about him knocking out Chris Weidman. He's had some notable knockouts in the past.
Yep.
So he's feeling very, very confident.
Yep.
I just don't think he's faced an opponent like Jon Jones.
Yeah, he definitely hasn't.
And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so, we all pretty much know what to expect from Jon Jones, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I do want to take some time and just talk about Dominic Reyes, right? Because he's an interesting guy.
He used to play football. I didn't even know that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny because he gets a lot of flack for it. You know how, like, Henry Cejudo gets a lot of flack for saying about how he won a gold medal, and he just always talks about that.
Right, for sure.
And it became a thing. Like, did you know that Henry Cejudo has a medal? To make fun of him. People were kind of doing the same thing with Dominic Reyes because he brings up his athletic past a lot, especially the fact that he played college football. I was actually reading some comments yesterday, and people were saying, like, what if Dominic Reyes wins by interception?
That's hilarious. I actually, when I heard he played football, and I think it was New York, I saw some of his clips.
Okay.
And, he's pretty decent. I can't remember what school it was, but it was a D1 school, I believe.
Okay.
And so I was able to see some of his clips, and then I noticed how tall he is.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
I'm looking at the UFC website. He's listed as 6'4".
Yep.
Jon Jones is listed as 6'4".
Yep.
That's not correct, right?
Have
you seen him square up?
Yeah,
he's clearly the taller guy.
It's crazy.
So
when was the last time you saw that with Jon Jones?
A while,
right?
A while. I'm gonna assume that Jon Jones is 6'2", 6'3".
I think,
or he might be 6'4". If Jon Jones is 6'4", Dominic Reyes is an easy 6'6", because he looks tall as fuck.
I think Jon Jones is probably like on the lower half of 6'4", and Dominic's on the higher side of 6'4".
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
But it is pretty interesting to see that Jones finally has someone that's like really his own size.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that doesn't take away the reach advantage.
And I was just gonna say that his reach is listed as 84.5 inches. Dominic Reyes is listed as 77 inches.
Yeah.
So almost 10-inch difference as far as their wingspan.
Insane, dude.
Yeah.
You look at. I think the only guy in the UFC that has a longer wingspan than Jon Jones is Stefan Struve, who's 7 feet tall.
Jesus, that's a big boy.
That's a big boy.
I'm assuming he fights heavyweight, right?
He does, yeah.
Big boy.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a big part of Jon Jones's game is he uses that reach, right? And it flows into his game the way he's able to keep the pace of a fight at the pace that he wants it, right? Because, it's just basic fighting. If you want to slow the fight down, you're going to have to be able to control distance so that your opponent isn't just able to stay in your face and rush you the whole time. And nobody does that better than Jon Jones.
Sure.
Not just because of his frame, but he's also a very intelligent fighter.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how Dominic comes out. Dominic definitely has hands. He's good at kicking also. And I know that he's an intelligent guy. He really likes to study his opponents. One of his most viral knockouts that he has was in his fight in LFA, the last fight that he had before coming into the UFC. And it went viral because the fight was just barely starting, and like Dominic clipped his opponent, and his opponent looked at him and shook his head, like basically saying like, no, you didn't get me. And while his opponent is shaking his head, taunting him, clapped by a head kick.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So they interviewed Dominic about that, and he said that he had seen that multiple times. That fighter had a tendency to do that to his opponents, basically get hit and shake his head like, no, nothing's fine.
Yeah.
And he said he planned that. He said, I knew he was going to do that, and I had practiced it over and over again. Like, as soon as I hit him and he starts to shake his head, he puts his hands down, I'm going to head kick him. That's exactly what happened. It happened like a minute into the fight.
Is Dominic viewed more as a boxer? Like, is that his style?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got a lot of hands. Even John Jones pointed that out, that a lot of his knockouts come from boxing combinations.
Right.
And that's the trouble, is that seems to be his biggest weapon, is getting in a boxing range and using his hands, but no one's ever able to do that to John Jones.
No. And I think, so have you been keeping up on all the interviews that they had on YouTube?
As much as
there was one thing that Dominic Reyes says. He was criticizing John Jones that he's not the knockout artist that he once was, and that he's a slow starter.
Yeah.
And while that is true, I feel like that is more credit to him developing more of a higher IQ.
Yep.
I think what it is as the older you get, maybe you might not be as explosive as you once were, but you don't need to be.
Exactly.
And I think John Jones is a very smart guy, and he lets the fight come to him.
100%.
And I hope Dominic understands that.
Right.
Because I think if he tries to come out swinging, I think John Joe's smart enough to know that it might play in a disadvantage.
I mean, we just think about it. Like, if we're talking about smarts, John Jones has been fighting in world title fights longer than Dominic's been a
he's fought legends.
Fighter.
He's fought, I mean, some of the greatest of all time. I mean, he's fought Chael Sonnen, Rampage Jackson. He's fought DC twice.
Yeah.
Guffinston. He's fought. His resume obviously is unmatched. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see an unexperienced Dominic Reyes as far as the level of what John Jones is,
right,
and how he's going, because this is his first big main event.
Yeah.
You know, so it's going to be interesting to see how he comes out. Based on what he's saying, I'm thinking he's going to come out quick.
Yeah, I think the thing that's the most interesting about this fight to me is how Dominic plans to use his weapons, right?
And not only that too, but he's very confident that he can knock out John Jones, and he keeps saying that he's going to knock him out.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I don't know, man.
Right, it depends.
I don't know.
Here's the thing: in order for anyone to catch John Jones,
yeah,
you're going to have to get him in a bad position.
Exactly,
and it's so hard to do that.
Very hard.
You're going to have to catch him coming out of the clinch. You're going to have to catch him up against the wall. You're not going to catch him in the center of the octagon. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And what's crazy to me is John Jones is the level of fighter that John Jones is. He's able to be brutally honest and say things that some other fighters wouldn't say, right? Like almost kind of giving away game plans or giving away ideas or just being completely honest. And John Jones has been picking Dominic Reyes apart in all these interviews. And something that there's a lot of things that John said. He's got great points. One of the things he said is that a lot of the times that that Dominic catches people, it's when people start to rush him and overextend. And that's another thing that John Jones never does.
Right.
I mean, with the exception of one time, I think when he was fighting Anthony Smith, he did kind of rush forward and he lunged in with a huge right and missed. But other than that, like one time, you don't really see that from John Jones.
Yeah.
Right? So like all of the things that work in Dominic's favor are things that John Jones never does.
Right.
So if he's never going to give you the look that you want that works for you, how are you going to go about getting to him? You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to force him to get into a bad position.
Right.
So what are you going to do to put him in a bad situation?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I feel like me and you seem to be in agreement that John Jones is not only the favorite, but we feel like he's going to take this fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, obviously, I think John Jones is going to win this. I do see it maybe lasting in the third round, as he probably feels like it would. I don't think it's going to go to championship rounds. Yeah,
John said he
says third round is when he's going to finish him. I see that happening.
Right.
I really do.
Something that I really hope that Dominic, even if he loses, something that I really hope Dominic sticks to, because thankfully he mentioned it. I really hope he sticks to it. He said his last couple opponents, probably with the exception of Thiago Santos, because Thiago Santos gave John Jones a hell of a fight.
Yeah, he did.
On one fucking leg.
Yeah, he did.
But, no disrespect to those fighters, but guys like Alexander Gustafsson and Anthony Smith are the ones that come to mind. He says that during the fight, you can almost see them accept what's going on, and they try to basically just hang on for dear life and finish the fight.
I heard him say that. Yeah. Right? I think I heard that interview.
And Dominic said that he's not willing to do that.
Yeah.
He said that if he feels like he's in a position where he's losing the fight or it's just not going his way, he says he doesn't care. He's willing to bleed. He's willing to do whatever it takes.
Sure.
And he's gonna bring he said he literally said like I'm willing to get knocked out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to do that. Because he says as soon as people kind of give up, John Jones takes over, and once he gets going, you're done.
Yeah.
Like, there's no coming back from that.
Yeah.
So I hope that that's the case.
Right.
If we're like 2 rounds in and John Jones is just picking him apart and Dominic can't get anything going, I hope he fucking swings for the fences. I hope he does something.
Well, I hope he does it right off the bat. I hope in the first round we see what Dominic wants to do and try to get at John Jones right away.
Yeah.
Again, because if you become a slow starter, I fear that you're playing into his game plan.
And that's a dangerous game to play.
He's such a smart guy. He knows what he's doing.
He's going to play with you.
Yes.
He's going to play with his food.
He's going to let the fight come to him, and we've seen that already. So I think for Dominic's benefit, I hope he comes in fast and tries to get him off his game.
Right.
I think that's the best chance he wins. I don't know what his ground game is.
Right.
I haven't seen him personally fight. I've only seen highlights from what UFC's posted on Instagram.
I haven't seen a lot of ground game from him.
Yeah. Fucking train.
Right? Fucking train time.
Should we wait until that's done and then I'll edit it out?
Sure.
Okay.
Fucking train time. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Yeah.
Train time.
Well, because like I remember last time, you can hear it.
Yeah.
It's not like super loud, but it is like a little brief.
Yeah.
Insert
little train emoji.
Yeah. So if you see the train emoji, just know it's choo-choo time.
I will say this though. I'm glad that you brought that up though about the ground game because that's kind of.
Because like I hear so much about his boxing.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't heard his ground game.
Right. Well, to be fair, his kicking is really good too.
For sure. I wouldn't disagree with that.
Speaking of which, that's another thing that John Jones brought up, and I'm wondering how Dominic is going to deal with that. John said it himself. He's like, I'm not. He goes, if you watch my fights, a lot of my work really isn't done with my hands. I don't put a lot of combinations together. I don't use my hands a whole lot. I'm mainly a kicker. Yeah. And it's true. He uses an incredible variety of kicks.
John Jones, he says?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he uses oblique kicks, side kicks, spinning kicks, body kicks, teep kicks, front kicks. He uses a dictionary of kicks.
Yeah.
And it's hard to deal with because he's so long. Right?
I know.
So, and that's what makes it interesting is like, yeah, they're the same size. Like, I would even argue also that Dominic even looks a little bit bigger, right? How is he going to deal with the length, though? Because John's still way longer than he is.
Sure. And again, that plays into keeping that distance between the two fighters.
Right. Thankfully, though, it's something that's on his mind because someone already asked him that. How are you going to deal with I think it was either Dan Hardy or John Anik or somebody asked him. They said, "You guys are the same size, but he has a much longer reach advantage than you. How do you plan on dealing with that?" I'm sorry, no, it was Stan Verrett on ESPN that asked him.
Okay.
And he said his answer was footwork.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I want to see what he means by that. You know, I know because Dominic does have good footwork going forward and backwards.
Sure.
I'll give him that. But I really want to see what he's planning.
Yeah.
Because he obviously knows. He knows that the length is going to be an issue.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, A, what's his game plan? And B, how effective is it going to be?
Yeah.
You know? But again, when you were going back to the ground game thing, not that I think it's going to happen, but I think it would be really cool if it did.
It would be interesting. Very interesting.
Imagine if out of nowhere, Dominic attempts a takedown and gets it.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw John Jones play from the bottom?
It's been a very long time.
Yeah.
It didn't happen against Thiago. It didn't happen against Smith. It didn't happen against the second DC fight.
Yeah. DC never really
did it happen against his fight with OSP?
No. John was playing top position a lot in that fight.
I can't remember what fight he had before OSP. I mean, I think it was the first DC match.
I'm sure
it's got to be before the two DC fights.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I've never seen John Jones on his back.
I'm sure.
I've seen him scramble a couple of times on the ground.
I'm sure it's happened at least once after that. I can't remember. It was either the Vitor fight or the Shogun fight, which were fucking forever ago.
Sure.
The last time that I saw Jones on his back.
Yeah. But is Dominic Reyes that type of fighter? I mean, is that his style? Is that something that he does?
And that's what I'm getting at. Is if he's really serious about.
You think that's something he might be training on, or a game plan for him?
I don't necessarily think so. But what I'm getting at is, if we get to this point where John is just taking the fight,
sure,
and Dominic realizes, okay, my hands aren't working,
right,
my legs aren't working,
just going for it, seeing whatever happens.
Yeah, exactly. What happens if he shoots, and he knows he's probably not going to be able to hold him there for a while. So let's say hypothetically he takes him to the ground and immediately just starts throwing. Could you imagine?
Yeah. Well, he's also got to be careful because John has nasty chokes.
Yes, he does.
I mean, I saw a clip with him and Machida.
He put him
where
out.
He put him to sleep. I
and
mean,
he
I
turned
was
into
like,
a rag doll.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's scary.
He's got nasty chokes.
And just
so
walks away like a cold.
Very risky move, but kudos to Dominic Reyes if he's able to pull it off. I feel like we've dissected this fight as much as we can. Again,
I think so.
There's not a whole lot to go off of just because I feel like Dominic Reyes is his big first fight. He's in the spotlight, so we're gonna see how he comes out. And John Jones, we all know about John Jones, whether you love him or hate him.
Yep.
He's the GOAT. His resume speaks for itself. I saw a tweet that he got drug tested over 40 times last year. Did you see that?
I did.
I think Jeff Nowitzki tweeted that.
Yeah.
The most tested athlete. So for all you haters, keep hating, but you know John Jones is the GOAT.
Yeah, he is.
And you know, he's a changed man. So
it's always really funny to me when people when I see accolades for John Jones.
Sure.
And people go like, well, yeah, it's because he was juicing. Which, what I want to know is, then why isn't everybody else that's been caught juicing have the same accolades and same dominance that he has?
Exactly.
There is no answer to that.
Yeah.
Because
well, I mean, then that's just haters. That's just trolls. Like, there's gonna be trolls wherever you go. There's gonna be haters for John Jones. So, you can't honestly not expect that. But you know, if you're rational and you look at the guy for what it is, he's undefeated. I'm looking at his record. It's just 25-1. That one defeat was technically that's not a loss.
It's a disqualification.
Yes, and he was winning. He was dominating that fight.
Exactly.
So I see him as 26-0. So very excited. I cannot wait for that fight tomorrow. Let's move on to the co-main event.
And speaking of
the assassin, Valentina Shevchenko going against
Caitlin Chukagian.
How you say it?
Chukagian.
So I don't know much about Caitlin herself. I've seen highlights again, but I haven't done my homework. So this is where I'm going to rely on you to give us that information on her. Yep. Obviously, we know about Valentina, what she's capable of, what she is. Incredible fighter. Poor Jessica, I put her butt to sleep.
Yep.
What can you tell us about Caitlin?
So I was doing some research, right? And I'm very interested in seeing how she stacks up to Valentina. So
she's a very tall girl. She's 5'9".
She is. And if you look at her record, it's actually pretty impressive. She's only lost twice, and the two losses that she has were both split decision losses, and they were against the last two women that fought Valentina. There was Liz Carmouche and Jessica Ai.
I'm seeing that right now. Yeah, she has a loss against Jessica Ai, as you mentioned.
Right. And
you said Liz Carmouche?
Yeah, exactly. So the thing I like about Caitlin, two things. Number one, her technique on the feet looks very crisp.
Right.
Like I've been watching some tape on her. She throws really great counters. She's quick and sharp. Like she's got good, precise punches. They come fast. I just really like her poise and her posture when she's fighting on the feet. And then on the ground, she trains at Renzo Gracie's academy, whereas like the same academy where she trains with John Danaher, the same guy that trains Gordon Ryan.
Yeah.
And all those guys.
Quick shout out to Gordon Ryan.
Yeah, dude.
You got me on Gordon Ryan.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I've been following him.
Yeah.
When he does the entrance with the crown, like that dude's a beast.
That dude's a monster.
I know he recently, and you know we've been away for a bit. He's recently, he's out of competition.
So
I believe that's what it was.
There's an update.
Oh, he's coming back.
Yeah. So apparently, I don't know if this is exactly what happened, but so there's another really well-known American jiu-jitsu guy. His name's Keenan Cornelius. He's a really, really well-known guy.
Sure.
And he was up at a big jiu-jitsu competition this year in Europe. Yeah. He was expected to win, and he got submitted in the final and lost.
Okay.
And Gordon responded to that and said, he's like, I knew I couldn't leave it to the rest of you suckers to keep America on the map, so I'm competing this year.
Wow.
So he'll continue competing this year.
Okay, so he's okay. Awesome. Yeah. Just a shout to him. I hope we see him soon in mixed martial arts.
So here's the thing. Clearly, I feel like Caitlin is probably, if Valentina doesn't exist, I would say Caitlin is probably arguably one of the most talented strikers in the division, other than maybe like
Amanda Nunes. I'm sorry, you said division.
Yeah.
My bad.
Irene Aldana, who she already beat.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the most interesting thing is the size. It's the height and the reach that she poses, right? So you combine that with the fact that she's pretty skilled, and it makes for an interesting matchup with Valentina, even though Valentina is an absolute murderer. However, and this is a classic thing that a fighter would say, right? But when it's Valentina, you got to believe her. She addressed it. Valentina said, I know that everyone's talking about her height and her reach, and they think that that's going to give her the advantage.
Right.
And she said, anybody that thinks that is making a mistake, a big mistake. So to me, if a killer like Valentina has that on her radar and is that confident about it, I don't know, man.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, the reach, this is what's listed on the UFC website. Valentina is at 67 inches.
Yeah.
Caitlin's at 68.
Ooh,
so I don't know how accurate that is. Sometimes when they list these, they're very questionable.
Right.
I don't know how accurate that is. The leg reach, Caitlin's at 42 inches, Valentina at 38. As you mentioned, the height difference, Caitlin 5'9", Valentina 5'5".
Yes.
So there's a clear height difference there, but that's not to take away from Valentina. She's a fucking killer.
I think it's a pretty similar situation with the main and the co-main. You're dealing with two very dangerous opponents.
Right.
Two very dangerous contenders who deserve a lot of credit and attention in their own right. But the problem is they're both fighting dominant champions.
Sure.
Dominant champions. And
you mean both the challengers?
Okay. Correct, yeah. Dominic Reyes and Kayla Chukagian. And the thing is, like, if you're fighting a champion, you're fighting one of the world's best. That's why they're a champion, right?
Right.
But there's, as the old saying goes, there's levels to this.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Jon Jones and Valentina, I mean, the levels don't really get that much higher.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's pretty much it for the co-main. What do you think?
Well, I mean, are you leaning towards Valentina as your pick?
Yeah, I'm really leaning
I'm going to lean on Caitlin.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you really? Okay.
So again, I don't want to fool everyone. I haven't seen Caitlin fight a whole lot.
Okay.
But I will say she's very confident just hearing her speak, and she's not fazed by the aura that's surrounding Valentina.
Like that.
And I think there's just this itch in me that's leaning towards Caitlin, that she's not letting the moment get too big. Very confident in herself. And just everything I hear from her is giving me some kind of indication that, she may shock people. Again, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I probably sound stupid, but
that's why it's Casual Talk MMA.
That's why it's Casual Talk MMA. But I'm gonna go with an upset, and I'm gonna say Caitlin is gonna win. I'm not predicting a knockout. I don't think she's gonna knock her out. I think if she is gonna win, it more likely maybe through the distance and go all 5 rounds. But I'm going to go on a limb here and pick Caitlin to win this one.
I'm gonna piggyback on your prediction there.
Okay.
I'll throw my casual prediction.
Okay, if you think I'm stupid for saying that, just tell me right now.
I don't. I still think it's unlikely, but I think I think it's a fair It's a fair look at it.
For sure.
However, I will piggyback on that and say that if Caitlin wins, I'm gonna throw my hat in there and say that she'll win by submission.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow! Yeah. Bold. Okay,
right?
That would be crazy.
That'd be nuts.
I would love to see that.
Yeah,
love to see that.
Right.
We'll see what happens, man. I'm looking forward to the co-main and the main event. Okay, so we're gonna work through the next fight. We have Juan Adams and Justin Tafa.
Yeah, exactly. So if we talk about the last times that we've seen these fighters, let's start with Justin Tafa because we've seen him more recently. He fought on the card with Israel and Robert Whittaker.
Okay.
If you remember, I believe they were the first fight on the main card. He got knocked out in the first round.
Right.
By Jorgen De Castro. He got slept. If you remember, he was coming forward, and Jorgen De Castro popped him right in the chin and just turned him off.
Right.
Which is kind of a bummer. Justin Tafa, I think he trains with a lot of these either New Zealand guys or Australian guys that are in the UFC. A lot of them have big hopes for him. and that was supposed to be his coming out party, and he got knocked out. So this is kind of like his redemption attempt.
Sure.
So I'm interested to see how he brings. I know he's got dangerous hands, and he's clearly not afraid to come forward. However, he's fighting a big dude. He's fighting a
I've seen him fight before. I recognize this guy.
Juan Adams is the guy that he was talking shit to Greg Hardy over and over again.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Greg
I
Hardy,
knew I'd seen him before.
You know,
we saw what happened. Yeah.
And that was unfortunately his last fight. So here's the thing, though. Juan Adams, he came from the Contender Series, looked very promising coming out of the Contender Series. He gets into the UFC, and his first fight, he fought a guy who, I mean, no disrespect to the guy, but I think he's Crystal Arosha, I believe.
Okay.
In my opinion, like in the bottom tier of UFC fighters.
Yeah.
And Justin knocked him out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Juan knocked him out. And then he fought Arjan Bular, and that guy comes from AKA, so he trains with Daniel Cormier and all those guys, and he's
Khabib,
a heavyweight. And
Josh Thompson.
Exactly.
That gym is fucking stacked, guys.
And he just couldn't with the type of fight that Arjan brought to him.
Yeah.
And then he fought Greg Hardy. So to me, Juan Adams is a guy who feels like he deserves to be in the UFC and deserves to be like a top guy.
Good.
And has had 2 slip-ups.
Sure.
And I feel like he's really hungry and coming after it. So
Sure.
what I hope to see and what I think we're going to see is a really impressive performance from Juan Adams.
Well, here's my question. Why is this fight the third fight in the main event?
And not Derek Lewis.
I was just going to ask that. Well, where's the Jared Cannonier fight? Is that been called off?
Yeah, it's not on this card.
So they've completely taken that fight off, because I'm Googling it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And normally you would see news like he's off the card. I don't see anything that's saying Jared Cannonier is taken off, other than, so I'll read the latest headline from yesterday. Darren Till says there's a 50-50 chance he fights Jared Cannonier next. What's up with that?
I don't know. I think that's still pending to see who he ends up fighting, because I think Darren Till got injured.
So I
think they're supposed to fight at 248. Which
is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
My bad.
March. Yeah.
I thought this was 248. My bad. 247.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then he's been taken off the card then.
Yeah.
Still though, I mean, I would think that Derek Lewis and Yuri Latifi.
Yeah.
I would expect that to be the third one, but interesting one.
So one last thing I'll say about this Juan Adams versus Justin Tafa fight.
Sure.
Just based on their stature and their fighting styles.
Okay.
I'm really curious to see how this goes down, because Justin is a smaller dude than Juan.
Okay.
And likes to come forward with his hands.
Mm-hmm.
And Juan is a big, tall dude with long hands who likes to box, but he's got good wrestling and he's got kicks too. So
yeah,
I'm just trying to see how that plays out in my head, and it's kind of interesting. So we'll see how that plays out. So the next fight, kind of a sleeper in my opinion, not necessarily in terms of
sleeper in the whole card.
No. So usually I pick my sleeper in terms of a fight that I think is going to be really entertaining.
Sure.
That people aren't talking about.
Sure.
I don't necessarily mean that in this case. I just think it's an important fight for the division, and not a lot of people are talking about it. Is Mirsad Bektic versus Dan Ige. That's
a surprising thing you're saying, because Mirsad's ranked 14th and the other guy is unranked.
Yeah, so Dan is unranked, but I think this could be a coming out party for him. Dan's been putting in some good performances, hasn't been ranked yet.
Let's take a look.
And so this is his opportunity to not only get ranked, but to create something that people are talking about him.
Create some buzz for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Because Mirsad is a good fighter.
Okay.
We just haven't seen a whole lot from him. He hasn't been. I don't remember when his last fight was. His last fight was July of last year.
Okay.
And he got knocked out by Josh Emmett.
Well, this guy, what's his name? Dan?
Mm-hmm.
His last fight was in June of 2019.
Oh, wow. It's been some time.
So it's been a while. He beats, I can't pronounce the guy's name, but something Aguilar.
Yeah, Kevin Aguilar.
So these guys haven't been fighting as of recently.
Yeah. So, again, not that necessarily I think this is going to be a super entertaining fight, but it's an important one for the featherweight division.
Okay.
And, the winner of this fight could be a guy that we begin to talk about within the next couple of months as the people feeding into the featherweight division.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the featherweight division, you got Max, you have the champion.
Well, hold on. Yeah, it's the champion first.
The champion.
Let's give some respect to Jurg, and you call that one.
I did. Alexander Volkanovski.
Yes, you did. I was mad.
You have crazy up-and-comers like Sadiq Youssef.
Sabib.
You have Zabit.
Yep.
You have.
Don't forget about Calvin Kattar.
Calvin Kattar.
He's still there. I know he lost, but God, he's still there.
He's still there. Yeah. This could be another name that you throw in that hat.
Sure.
You know, maybe some of these guys that aren't in line for title shots but are working their way up, you could potentially see one of them fight the winner of this fight.
So okay, so this is an important fight for him, not only to get ranked, but to move his way up in a division full of killers.
Yeah.
So yeah, no,
and
that makes sense.
For Mirsad, it's an opportunity to get back on track after losing his last fight.
Okay.
So now a fun fight. Derek
Lewis, man, I love this guy. How do you not love this guy?
This is amazing.
I mean,
it makes my balls hot.
Literally. I mean, obviously, anything with the heavyweights, you can expect heavy shots. But what do you think about this fight?
So, with all the respect in the world to Ilir Latifi, who deserves respect, I think he's biting off a bit more than he can chew here. He's moving. First of all, he's moving up to heavyweight.
Yes, I was just gonna say that. Okay?
And to move up from fighting 205ers
to a guy who's 260, who's listed as 260,
Derek fucking Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
It's a big jump, man. That's a big boy. That's a beast.
Exactly. Yeah. That's like going from F-150s to F-350s.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Absolutely.
So here's the thing. I'm just going to put it out there. I predict Derek Lewis will win this fight. Okay. And I don't think it'll be pretty.
So you're seeing a KO off the bat.
Yeah. Not necessarily off the bat.
But you're expecting a KO.
He's going to hurt Ilir Latifi. And I'll explain why.
I think look at his resume.
I think Ilir's beginning to slow down a little bit. Okay.
Well, let's look at his last couple fights. His last fight, he lost against Ozdemir.
Yep.
He lost against Corey Anderson before that.
Yep.
He beat OSP.
He did.
Let's see. He lost against Pedro.
Yep.
He lost against Ryan Bader.
No, he beat Tyson Pedro.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. He beat Tyson Pedro. He lost against Ryan Bader back in 2016.
Yeah.
That was his last 4 or 5 fights. So.
Right. So here's the thing with Ilir. I think he's getting a little bit up there in age now.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, how old is he?
He is 36.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Sorry, guys. The dogs are being too cute right now.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So here's the thing. Ilir, in his last fight, he begins to slow down a little bit. Okay, he's moving up to a guy that's got a lot of power. Okay. And I've seen Ilir fight. When he begins to get in a bit of trouble, he starts to try to slow the fight down. He tries to either put somebody up against the cage or get a takedown. And let me tell you something. This is not going to work against Derek Lewis. If Derek Lewis starts to hurt you and you think that you're just going to like put him up against the cage, slow him down or take him down, good luck.
Right. But I feel like he's most dangerous in the first round.
He is.
Right? Now, what would it look like if he happens to survive round 2 and 3?
Well, actually, I'm gonna counter that statement.
Okay.
Right, that he's only dangerous in the first round. He's very dangerous in the first round.
Yes, he is.
But he does have a way of I'll definitely give you that. He definitely slows down, right?
Oh yeah.
But the thing is, I feel like he slows down because he always wants to leave enough in the chamber to knock somebody's lights out whenever. Ask Alexander Volkanovski.
I was like, what? He's 145.
Ask Alexander Volkov.
Okay. I wonder what.
You remember that? The Alexander Volkov fight? That was my balls was hot fight.
Yes.
He's getting beat by Volkov the whole fight.
And then he lands that punch.
Seconds,
yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, you're right. I wonder what Laurier weighed in on.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I wonder.
Today, right? What did he weigh?
I want to see if he came in extremely heavy. Or if he tried to keep it lighter to keep himself light on his feet against a guy like Derek Lewis.
Okay. So yeah, Ilir weighed in at 246. But my prediction stands.
Okay. I don't disagree with you.
I think Derek sends him back down to 205.
Yeah. No. Well, I think Derek sends him home packing and retiring.
Yeah. And I say, and I know I'm being harsh, but I love Ilir. I'm not trying to be a hater. But
listen, man, say how it is. You know what I mean?
He's the black beast for a reason.
Yeah,
you know
he is.
All right, so moving on to the preliminary card on ESPN, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Trevin Giles and James Krause fight. So let's just break this down for a second. So Trevin was scheduled to fight a gentleman named Antonio Arroyo.
Yep.
Who comes from the Contender Series, which I'm always raving about. And this is one of the guys that I was interested in. This is one of the premier guys from the Contender Series that I was ready to see. This dude throws he throws some of the best kicks I've ever seen. He throws high volume, hard kicks the whole fight.
Okay.
And he's just really exciting. I really like this guy, and I like his personality. I was really excited to see what he did. This was going to be his first fight in the UFC, so it's a bummer that he couldn't fight. But then you can get this fucking badass by the name of James Krause, who's a welterweight, and was there this weekend to corner a fighter, heard about the opening, and said, fuck it, I'll do it. I'll step in and fight. Moves up in weight.
Yeah.
Okay, with no training camp, nothing like that. He was there helping somebody else fight and just says, screw it, I'll do it. I'll take this fight. So major respect. A round of applause for that man, for James Krause. Yes, shout out to him. And Trevin Giles deserves some applause also. Took off the year of 2018 to become a police officer. So there are two guys that are really skilled. It's so short notice that I can't really
kind of dive more into it.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. So, but I don't think it's going to be a boring fight. I think it'll be exciting and interesting, and I'm ready to see that.
Okay.
So, real quick, two more people that I want to shout out real quick. Miles Johns versus Mario Bautista. Okay. Miles Johns, lo and behold, another guy from the Contender Series, looked impressive. Had a fight, his last fight in the UFC, versus another tough guy. Put in a good gritty performance, and I'm ready to see more from this guy. I was just telling Michael that I've nicknamed this guy the Yoel Romero of the bantamweight division.
Yes, you did.
He's built like a brick shithouse, and he's
definitely in great shape.
Yeah, he's got big power in his hands. He's got good cardio, and he comes from Fortis MMA, who is just bursting onto the scene as an MMA gym. Really excited to see them. So the reason I mention this is for you guys that might be listening to this. If you guys don't know any, the smaller fighters, the guys without the big names,
yeah,
I'm trying to let you know about the guys to keep an eye on that might not have a big name but are definitely worth watching.
His nickname is Chapo. That's fucking gangster.
Yeah.
Yo, Chapo, undefeated.
So, again, this is a newer guy in the UFC, which is why a lot of people don't know about him. But I'm trying to give you the heads up so you guys can keep an eye out. And then my other shout out is from the early prelims. We got Andre Ewell, who comes from right here from the IE. He fights out of Riverside, California. And he did have a slip up. I believe he lost his last fight. But he's a good, interesting fighter who's not afraid to scrap. And I'm excited to see him too. And he lost against a very dangerous guy in Marlon Chito Vera. So
cool.
That's that.
I think that's all I have. I don't have much to say.
Right. So we kept it short and sweet this time. Yep. We're coming back. And,
yes, we are.
We're looking forward to getting the train rolling again.
Yep. So expect another episode next week out of our reactions to UFC 247 and moving forward.
Yeah. Enjoy the fight.
Thank you guys so much.
See you guys.